Welcome to Whiskey and Wonder.
Right. Hello, everyone. We are Whiskey and Wonder, where every week we get together, we review whiskey, and we teach the other something that has made us wonder. Those of you guys who are on YouTube probably see that Tyler, my normal co-host, is not here with me. I'm actually here with Jamie, who has been on the podcast before. And she's going to teach us something new this week. So, hello, Jamie. Thank you for coming.
Hello.
All right. Well, I don't know if I introduced myself. I'm Megan, if I didn't say anything.
I'm not Tyler.
No.
As you said.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm Jamie.
Okay, cool. We'll go fairly fast through all this stuff, just things we have to do, making sure you go to Patreon, and it is patreon.com/whiskey and wonder. We have a couple different tiers there where you can vote on our infinity bottles, which is going to be a bourbon, a rye, and a Scotch infinity bottle. If you don't know what they are, they're basically our own personal blend of whiskeys, and you can vote whether we should add a certain whiskey to it or whether we should not. So let us know. You also can get early access to episodes, discount stickers, blah, 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 all sorts of fun stuff. If you go to whiskeyandwonder.com, you can go to our shopping page and our about page and whiskeys and all the other fun, exciting stuff we've done. Find us on social media, Instagram at Whiskey Podcast, and whiskeyandwonder.com. All of this that I'm saying is going to be down in the show notes for you guys. Thank you, everyone who donates and supports and follows, subscribes, likes, reviews. We would not be here without you guys at now 91 episodes. So thank you so much for everything you do. We would not be here without you. So thank you all so much. All right. I believe that means we're going to move on to this.
The open segment.
All right, Jamie. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little nervous. I'm actually more nervous than I was when you had me on episode 84. So this is gonna be fun. We're gonna see where this goes. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
How's the squishy stem?
I still have a squishy brainstem. The doctor wanted to keep me out of work for a while, apparently, but I mean, I'm able to drive. I'm able to use electronics. I can somewhat walk in a straight line, but I never could walk in a straight line before, so like that's not changed.
Can you still write in Hindi?
Apparently.
The people may not know. They probably don't. Megan texted us and was just like, guys, that I'm reading through my notes in my chart or whatever.
Yep, my medical chart.
And they put that I could write in Hindi. I was mowing the lawn and I had to stop like in the middle of the yard. And I was like, what?
Yep. Apparently I speak Hindi. Or no, I don't speak. I'm sorry.
You're right.
It specifically said I don't speak it. I write. I can speak and write English, but I write
You were concussed
Hindi.
so hard into a second language.
Yeah, so apparently, maybe if I close my eyes real tight and I just write on the paper, it'll be in Hindi. I don't know.
I really want to know how they came to that conclusion.
I want to as well. I'm definitely going to ask my doctor.
Like, did they just have you write on a piece of paper when you went in originally, and then did you just like fuck up and write something and they were like, yeah, that's Hindi?
I don't think so. That first doctor's appointment is kind of a blur. I know they did have me do a lot of like motion and motor skills and stuff, so maybe they did have me write something, and Maybe I wrote in Hindi. I don't know.
So I forgot that my back is broken.
Okay.
It's not physically broken. I just have this lower back issue that the doctors either cannot or refuse to figure out what it is. And I went into work, wasn't in any pain, like completely forgot that I'm on a 10-pound weight limit, and picked up this big old honking lab on my table and got halfway up, and both me and my boss make eye contact and both like communicated that this was a bad idea. So I'm doing okay today though.
Good. Well, I hope you feel better, and I hope your doctors get your stuff sorted out. Medical issues are not fun at all.
No.
So I feel you.
No.
It says squishy brainstem. I speak Hindi, write Hindi. And that's kind of what my life has been like. I don't really have anything to add. What about?
Yeah, no.
No?
No.
All right, cool beans. Let's do this.
Opening the bottle.
Oh, that is way harder than Tyler makes it look.
I was sitting here. Is she going to do it? Is she
Yep.
going to do it?
No, that's way harder. I see why it took Tyler 90 tries before he got it to open at the same time. All right. So we are actually drinking a bourbon today that has already been done on this podcast. It was done back at episode 81 when Tyler ran solo teaching you guys about the Apollo 11. This week, we are going to be trying the Blue Run Kentucky Straight High Rye Bourbon Whiskey. Blue Run Kentucky Straight High Rye Bourbon is a small batch whiskey and is the first Blue Run product with a Bourbon Hall of Famer, Jim Rutledge, serving as the contracted master distiller. It looks like Blue Run is still a fairly new distillery. They don't have a ton of information and stuff out and about them. It looks like they were 13 years old in October of 2020. So that makes them, 15 now? Mm-hmm. Or almost 15? So pretty new on the whiskey side of things. So I guess I'm going to pour us a couple of glasses, and we're going to see how this is. I do have written down what Tyler has rated it, and Jamie and I will both rate it at the end as well. That's also really hard.
Which, slightly off topic. I did notice that you and Tyler started putting in, like, the timestamps for stuff. Mm-hmm. And my mom and stepdad are members of a certain cool club, and they need that. And I'm sure they're very appreciative because now I can be like, look, now you have timestamps.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
So,
well, thank you. That is awesome. We should probably note to self mention that before we get into opening the bottle. I can't close this bottle.
yeah. Do you need do it? Oh, you did it.
I got it. We probably should mention that before we start pouring the whiskey, that we do have timestamps listed at the bottom of the page for in case anyone wants to skip a certain segment, or, you don't care about hearing us ramble in the open segment or what have you. You can go ahead and, just move on to whatever you like. I have quite a few people I know that listen for the Wonder segment and kind of ignore the whiskey. So it's nice to have a way to just skip the stuff you don't want to. Mm-hmm. Already from the little bit I've smelled this is in my opinion, I'm smelling very, very cinnamon, lots of cinnamony, big red type cinnamon spice.
Yes. I just shoved my nose in the glass. It smells like liquid Big Red.
Yeah, it really does. It smells like liquid Big Red. And I'm not, maybe a little bit of oak. There is some dill, which is pretty common in anything with a lot of rye in it. but overwhelmingly, this is a spicy cinnamon gum smell to me.
Why am I sniffing my microphone?
Because it smells wonderful. Okay, well, this person says that we should be smelling cinnamon bark, rice spice, caramel, and dill. And let's see if I had another one pulled up here. This one is saying baking spices, nutmeg, ginger, nose gets tickled.
Yep.
Yeah.
That second sniff, I'm sure it's on the camera. I had to like back away from it. All the nose hairs were tickling.
All right. Have you tried it, Jamie?
I have.
What do you think?
Okay, so I'm not really an alcohol drinker, so my words are not going to be as eloquent as yours. It tastes like a Christmas tree with cinnamon.
Okay. I actually get 100% what you're saying.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I need to be sitting in my house that's decorated for Christmas drinking this. It smells like, it tastes like Christmas.
It tastes like Christmas. It really does. Like I get like peppermint candy cane.
It burns, but it tastes like Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely burns. Not to the point where I'm super uncomfortable with the burn, but you can tell it's there. Mm-hmm. It's also a very warming whiskey. Mm-hmm. So it's one that I would want to drink in colder months as well. And I'm getting a bit of like pine tar, cinnamon for sure. Not getting a whole lot of the traditional bourbon flavors I would expect to get. I'm not really getting caramels or vanillas. Like I said, this is more pine than oak tasting. And I wasn't able to pull out and taste the actual dill.
In comparison to the one that I brought, which I think that was just a general run-of-the-mill Kentucky bourbon, this tastes like it has it fuller. It just tastes fuller.
Okay. I get that. Well, Jamie, we are supposed to be tasting sweet and a bit earthy blackberries, per air tea. Don't know what per air tea is.
Excuse me?
PU-ERH-T. Per tea.
I don't know.
I don't know what that is. So this person who I like, there's more, are saying that it's a long finish, which 100% is true. The palate is overwhelmingly cinnamon spice, layered with, they say burnt oak, I say pine tar, and a little bit of cake batter.
Cake batter?
Yeah, cake batter is
Let me come back into this.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, you do that, because I did not taste any type of sweet cake batter at all. I did not.
Where?
Yeah, I don't know. I did not go back through and listen to Tyler's episode either, so I don't remember what he tasted or like anything specific about this whiskey. So I'm trying to go through it fairly quickly because I know you guys have already heard about this whiskey before. And we have a pretty cool wonder segment to get to. However, before we do from that, let's hear about our sponsor.
Ooh, sponsor.
Yeah. So here at Whiskey and Wonder, we love our dogs just as much as our whiskey, which is why we love our partnership with BarkBox, the monthly subscription service to spoil your pooch. BarkBox will send you 2 specially themed toys, 2 bags of treats, and a chew every month. Our pod dogs go crazy seeing their new goodies every month, and their themes are always super exciting, like Star Wars, Harry Potter, and Stranger Things. Get a free box when you sign up using our link at barkbox.com/whiskey and wonder, and that is whiskey with an E. and the and is spelled out, A-N-D. Again, that is barkbox.com/whiskey and wonder.
I vote for a Whiskey and Wonder Bark Box toy.
I would die. That would be so cool. All right.
It's time for the Wonder segment.
I fucked that up. I fucked that up real bad.
Did you? Because that sounded great to me.
Oh. No, I fucked that up real bad.
Where did you go wrong?
I double hit it. You didn't hear it echoing over itself?
Nope.
Okay, maybe it didn't. Maybe it only played in my headset that it did that.
Either that or I'm just so nervous I just blacked the whole thing out.
We're going to leave it like that because Tyler didn't tell me how to like pause the video and edit it and stuff. So we're going to do that.
We're winging it, guys. Like, we are really winging it.
We are. Like, I have a squishy brainstem. Jamie's never done this before as like a co-host. And you know, we're
And that's why that today is going to be the best episode ever.
True.
Just chaos.
Absolute chaos. I am so excited to learn what you are going to teach me about Jamie.
I'm the fact that you haven't been annoyed because I have been texting you periodically through the week going, should I do this? Should I do this?
Oh, I'm so excited. I am like ready.
Okay. So from the moment you texted me about this and you were like, hey, you want to do the podcast thing with me on this day? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. I immediately knew I wanted to do a serial killer.
Amazing.
Yep. However, I'm bougie when it comes to my serial killers.
Okay.
Yep. I did not want to do somebody like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy because they're boring.
Everyone's done that.
Yep. Everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows what they're about. Do better, guys.
Yes.
So I communicated amongst a couple people, and I was like, this is kind of who I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? And everybody looked at me and they were like, ooh, when's this podcast come out? How do we subscribe? So I guess I did something right. I guess I picked the right guy.
All right.
So I would like to introduce to you, Megan, Ricardo Ramirez. Mm-hmm.
Oh, snap.
Or as the rest of us weird people, Richard Ramirez. Now, when it comes to his childhood and his backstory, you and I can both sit here and probably have a very lengthy conversation about the whole nature versus nurture argument.
Oh my God. I could talk about nature versus nurture for hours.
You and I both could, like, on both sides, just
Yes.
like...
Yeah, just go
all
and go
day.
and go.
It's a lot. This may end up being a two-parter.
Okay.
I knew his childhood was not the greatest. Strap in, Megan.
Okay, I'm pulling down the handlebars.
Yep.
I'm like getting ready for the roller coaster. It's like going kunk. And
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say this now, for those that need it. This is your trigger warning. Because if I pinpointed everything, every other word out of my mouth would be trigger warning. There is going to be a lot of heavy topics with this one.
Okay.
It gets dark
Okay.
real quick.
Then again, this is your trigger warning, guys. If you are not a fan of true crime, you don't want to hear about serial killer.
There's going to be some essay conversations in this as well. So
all right, amazing. And this is the Night Stalker, right?
Yes,
the original Night Stalker.
Yep.
All right.
Alrighty. So Richard Ramirez was born on February 29th, 1960 in El Paso, Texas. He was the youngest of 5 children. His parents' names were Julian and Mercedes Ramirez. Now, when it comes to his parents, it was very quickly evident that parental abuse seems to track, like, all the way back with these people. Like, it just doesn't stop.
Okay, as far back as the line can go.
Yep. And one of the documentaries that I was watching, basically just all they kept saying was the Ramirez, like, quick to anger. Their and where did I go? Yeah, their temper. Could not figure out that word. This didn't stop with his dad either. So he was one of those to where he was just like, he grew up with it and he was like, I'm never going to beat my children. Did fine for what seems like a pretty good bit and then just decided not to, I guess.
Okay.
Three of the children, the first three specifically, they developed birth defects from the atomic bomb testing done in El Paso back in 1945. This bomb was the same design as the bomb Fat Man, which was the one dropped over Nagasaki, Japan. The fourth child, the only sister, seemed to have no health issues. When it came time that his mother got pregnant with Richard, she was working in a boot factory, and her position was to mix chemicals.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. And as, of course, the TikTok song goes, OSHA violations. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She worked hands-on with these chemicals with little to no ventilation or any kind of PPE. She was told by her doctor at 5 months pregnant she would have to leave her job because of the negative effects it was having on her and the baby. When Richard was born, he seemed to have no obvious birth defects, so Mom goes back to work full-time and Dad goes to work on the railroad, so when he's basically never home, but when he is, he's beating the children. At one point, the children were reportedly left home alone when Richard was 2. And the way it read, he climbed the bookcase, an open bookcase, and it fell on top of him and crushed him and left him knocked out for 20 minutes.
Oh, so he has some brain damage.
It gets worse.
He has a squishy stem, too.
He's got the whole thing squishy, Megan. And then at one point when he was just a little bit older, him and his sister are out playing in the backyard. And at this point, I want to say like we're talking like 3 to 5 at this point. He has developed some over hyperactivity, probably some ADHD going on. And he and his sister are outside playing, and he decides that he wants to run full steam at a swing and essentially clotheslines himself.
Oh, no.
And is knocked out for a second time for a period of 20 to 30 minutes.
I want to feel bad for him, but I know who he is. So
exactly.
I can't.
After this, he developed epilepsy and was told that he would be fine. He'd grow out of it. He didn't need any medications or any kind of follow-ups. But the area in his brain where the epilepsy was not his squishy brainstem. It was in his frontal lobe, which is known to cause personality changes, temper, behavioral changes, and obsessive thoughts.
Yeah. Interesting.
But no, he's fine. He's fine. So, at this point, when Richard is 12, his cousin Miguel Ramirez comes home from Vietnam, a decorated war hero. This is important for a minute.
Okay.
We need to remember Miguel.
Okay, remember Miguel.
Yep. Miguel comes home and starts boasting about how he loved his time in Vietnam because he could kill people without punishment, and he would talk about all the people that he killed and all the women that he raped in his time in Vietnam.
Jesus Christ.
No, my grandfather was in Vietnam. We don't talk about Bruno. We just don't. You let him talk about it when he wants to, but the most you're ever going to get is the music and like the stuff that he ate.
Oh, wow. He's not going to go into...
I have never heard that man go into detail.
Wow.
In fact, one time I went upstairs and he had fallen asleep in his bed and his glasses were all cockeyed. He fell asleep reading a wine magazine. And like it was laying over his head. His glasses were all cockeyed. And so I was like, I'm going to be the good granddaughter and I'm going to go tuck him in. I'm going to go turn his lights off and tuck him in. Megan, my finger, microscopic, like one singular skin cell of my finger touched that magazine and he snatched me up by the wrist so hard and so fast. I think I paid myself.
I'm glad he didn't punch you out.
Yeah, he didn't realize he did this. In fact, I just told him about that here recently. This was years ago.
Wow.
He didn't realize he had done that. He kind of made a joke. He's like, well, if you didn't look like one of the North Vietnamese.
I don't think you look Vietnamese.
No, I don't. He was joking.
Okay,
He was joking.
that
was like the one
Grandpa.
that's the one Vietnam reference I think I have ever gotten out of him.
Oh, wow.
So I learned then that the PTSD is real.
Facts.
So yeah. So for this man to come home and just, let me tell you what I did at work for years. I can't even imagine. So the more the more he talks, Richard starts to get more fascinated with Miguel and Miguel's stories. Miguel starts to show him pictures that Miguel took while over in Vietnam. And these pictures included Miguel's assaults on women and him cutting off their heads. Miguel also brought back 8 shrunken heads with him and showed these to Richard on a regular basis. It's at this point in Richard's life where Richard himself says that he started to become aroused by looking at the photos and by holding the heads. He's 12. He's 12 at this point.
I mean, that's right at like puberty age is starting. And
yep.
I mean, you're giving... Oh,
And we've got squishy brain.
Oof, man,
Yep.
that's not... This kid is not set up for success.
Yep. Nope. And so he starts to, I guess, every opportunity he has, he's over at Miguel's house. And Miguel starts to teach him how to kill with stealth and how to hide and become invisible. Now, on May 4th, 1973, Richard is 13. He goes over to good old Miguel Buddy's house, hanging out, playing pool, and smoking weed. Miguel's wife, Jessie, comes home from shopping, and she and Miguel get into some kind of verbal altercation over the fact that Miguel is hanging out continuously with a 12-year-old and doesn't have a job.
Yeah, I'd be pretty mad.
Yep. Miguel supposedly calmly walks out of the room, goes into the kitchen, grabs a .38 caliber handgun, walks back into the room, looks at Jessie, and shoots her in the face in front of their 2 young children and in front of Richard.
Oh, man. I don't... Okay. Wow, Miguel.
Yep. Good old Miguel.
Well,
Yep. Richard, the next school year, moves out of his parents' house and moves into his sister's house. And if this already isn't an instruction manual for how to build a serial killer, it is now. Her husband, the older sister Rose, I believe was her name. Rose's husband is a peeping Tom and regularly takes 13-year-old Richard out on his escapades.
Why? 1, why would you do it in the first place? But 2, why in the hell would you take a little
Your
child?
nephew, like a child in general, but your nephew. Yep.
Yeah, this is definitely how to create a serial killer
It
101.
is. It's the actual instruction manual. I knew we would have fun with this one. So, yep, Richard, learns how to become a peeping Tom. It's also around this age that he starts to develop a serious interest in Satanism and the occult. And he starts using cocaine that he gets from Miguel.
And that just exacerbates everything. Miguel is doesn't go to jail?
Nope.
Hey.
Actually, no, I lied. He does end up getting arrested for Jesse's murder. And he gets out for insanity because he's a PTSD veteran. Didn't know what he was doing. Yep.
And do you know if he had not contact, but custody of his kids?
I don't. I did not hear anything about that.
Okay.
I do know he gets out, though.
Okay.
And I'm sure the cocaine is exactly what he needs for his seizures.
Oh yeah, that's going to make it better.
Yep, that
for
helps.
Sure.
At the age of 15, he gets a job at the Holiday Inn in El Paso and eventually is given a master key to the hotel. It's here where we get introduced to his very first victim. Richard, with this job and with this master key, has access to every room in the hotel and eventually starts entering the hotel rooms at night. And from best that I could figure out, he just stares at people while they're sleeping.
That is one of my worst nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And why would you give a 15-year-old a master key to anything?
Exactly. It was a different time, I guess. It was the 70s.
Jesus, I do not like the past. No, thank you.
Nope. So yeah, he stares at people, will occasionally rob them if he can figure out if they've got valuables on them or whatnot. He enters the hotel room of a woman and attacks her from behind and attempts to sexually assault her, but luckily was thwarted when her husband enters the hotel room and beats the absolute shit out of Richard.
Good, and that should have been the end of everything.
Yep, should have been.
Should be story over.
Should have been. He beats Richard so bad, he is unrecognizable and is knocked out for a third time. Has to go to the hospital. Richard is arrested for this, but the charges are dropped because the couple didn't want anything to do with it. I have a feeling the husband just didn't want to go to jail or was afraid of legal ramifications for almost obliterating this child.
I am sure you're right.
Yep. When he is arrested for this initially, the family was so shocked that he had done this. Not there, Richie. Not him.
Oh.
Nope. This is not his normal behavior.
Who exactly was shocked? Was it Miguel? What?
The whole siblings, Miguel, everybody, I guess. But yeah, like I said, the charges were dropped. The family wanted nothing to do with the case. And he was released back to his mother. A year later, this is it. A year later, good old Miguel is released from the mental asylum where he spent his time as a PTSD-stricken Vietnam veteran. And the minute he comes home, guess who's right back to spending every day with Miguel?
Oh, Richie, little Richie.
Yep, little baby Richie. For the next 2 years, they spend just about every day together, and in February of 1978, Richard gets on a bus without telling anybody and moves to LA. Just hops on a bus. Didn't even tell Miguel. Just peace out, Cub Scouts. It is at this point he's knee-deep in his fascination with Satanism. They never really, with anything that I read and watched with this, they never really, this is the moment where he, discovered Satanism.
It just fell in his lap?
Yep. It probably might have something to do with the shrunken heads. I don't know.
Okay.
Yep. He gets deeper and deeper into his fascination with Satanism, and his addiction to cocaine gets stronger. Here's going to be another trigger warning for you. After living a year in LA, Richard commits his first rape on a woman, and goes on record saying that after this first rape, he felt elaborated and was left, quote, craving for more. Shortly after the attack, he met Anton LaVey, the author of the Satanistic Bible and the founder of the Church of Satan. I think I pronounced his last name correctly. LaVey?
I don't know.
He attends several ceremonies, and described that he felt like he had been touched. Although I guess it's instead of touched by God, he felt touched by Satan.
Modern Satanists don't even believe in Satan.
Right, that's what I thought.
Like, Satanists don't believe in Satan.
They just are anti-establishment, aren't they?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Richard continues to live addicted on cocaine and committing like petty beanies burglary until the evening of June 27th, 1984. Richard is 24 at this point. On this night, he encounters the person who is thought to be his first actual murder victim. He's at the bus station in LA and buys 2 grams of cocaine, does his thing with the cocaine, and drives to a small town in LA, looking for a house to rob. He settles himself on the apartment of Jenny Venkow. He attempts to enter through an open window, but can't because there's a screen in the way. He struggles with the screen and eventually takes off his gloves. He removes the screen and enters the apartment. After searching the apartment while Jenny is asleep in her bed, he realizes that there is nothing significant of value in the home, and this angers him. He becomes so enraged that there was not anything worth taking in the house. He repeatedly stabs Jenny in the chest. Jenny wakes up, starts fighting for her life. Richard fights back and cuts Jenny's throat so deep he almost severed her head completely. After killing her, he violates her dead body. After Jenny's murder, Richard's cocaine addiction becomes all-encompassing at this point. Like, he is strung out. And Richard makes the decision that he needs to seek treatment for his cocaine addiction so he could focus on getting off the hard drugs, but not just so he could get sober and stay sober. It was so he could get sober and focus on killing.
Oh, yay! Woohoo! Yeah, brilliant. Fantastic.
There's a motive.
Whoa.
Yep. On March 17th, 1985, a little over a year later, after Jenny's murder, Richard buys a .22 caliber revolver. Now that he's armed and dangerous, he steals a car and goes out with the intent of finding a second victim. Driving through LA, he comes across Maria Hernandez, who is driving back to her apartment. He makes the decision to follow her, and after she parks her car in the garage, I guess it was one of those apartments that like has an attached garage. I guess she was on a bottom level. He exits the vehicle. After Maria exits her vehicle, he approaches her and shoots her. But unbeknownst to him, as Maria falls to the ground, the bullet did not strike her. It deflected off of her keys, and she plays dead in the floor of the garage. Richard, at this point, thinking Maria is dead, enters the apartment and finds Dayla Okasaki hiding behind the kitchen counter. He knows she's there, and he stands there and waits for Dayla to think that he has left the apartment.
What a sick fucker.
Mm-hmm. He waits for her to think that he's left, and the moment she pokes her head over that counter to check to see if he's gone, he shoots her in the head, killing her instantly. As Richard goes to leave the apartment, there in the doorway stands Maria, who says, "You have already shot me once. Do you need to shoot me again?" Richard looks at her and just leaves.
What the fuck?
Yep.
That woman had some cojones.
Yes.
Like, how I would have stayed in the garage for days.
Yep.
And
I would not have come out.
Yep. Like it would have taken like the police coming and like opening the garage because I would not ever leave. I would be like,
nope.
whoop.
I live there now.
Yep.
In that tiny, I'm gonna assume fetal position in the ground. Like that's
that's
is
my
home.
house. Yep. God, damn, the balls to just go, "Do you need to shoot me again? Motherfucker? No, don't need to shoot you again. You live." What the fuck?
Yep. And I guess he just looks at her and they have this awkward like stare off for a few minutes and he dips. As he leaves the scene, he left his ACDC ball cap and left his shoe print at the scene. It is after this attack and this murder that he is given the name the Night Stalker.
All right. There's the name.
Yep, he is born. Within hours of leaving the two girls' apartment, Richard finds the third victim, Taya Liam. That's wrong. That's her middle name. Taya Liam Yu, also called Veronica. He follows her while driving again. And at this point, after a while of following her, she catches on that she's being followed. And you thought Maria had big cojones? Veronica stops her car and approaches Richard in his car to confront him as to why he's following her. As she approaches his car, Richard attempts to grab her through the open window and tries to pull her into the car. They struggle. He realizes he cannot get her into the car, and he shoots Veronica in the side, and she dies before she can make it to the hospital.
Oh my God. The 70s was a different time.
Yep.
Jesus.
Going back to your Memphis 3.
Yeah.
There were several times writing this that I was like, do better, police. Like, it took you this long to figure it out. The police quickly connected the crimes from the description given by Maria and the witnesses to Veronica's murder.
There were witnesses.
Yes, there were witnesses. Frank Salinero was assigned as lead detective on the case. Frank Salerno, I keep trying to drop the L, was the co-detective that had worked on the Hillside Strangler case and who helped put him away. So he thinks he knows all about the serial killers. After the murder of Veronica, Richard devotes himself to Satan and convinces himself that the more murders he commits, the more Satan will approve of him, and the more he will be given Satan's blessing, for lack of a better word.
There's so much wrong with that.
All of it. All of it.
I just, I can't. This is flabbergasting.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world?
We're 3 paragraphs into this.
My God.
Out of 8 pages. On March 27th, 10 days after the murder of Veronica, he and the other girl, he sets out on a murder mission. He goes hunting, essentially. Like, he goes out with the intent to kill.
Don't like that.
And drives to a house that he had burglarized a year prior. Throughout all of this, he's like going back to just small, petty little B&Es.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. The home belonged to Vincent and Maxine Zazaria. He looks through the window, sees Vincent sleeping on the couch downstairs. He enters the home through the utility room window, walks up to Vincent, and shoots him in the head. The bullet, according to the autopsy results, zigzagged through his brain, and yet somehow, some way, Vincent is able to stand up to confront Richard. And according to the investigation report, it's when he stands up, blood launched 3 feet from his head onto the wall behind him.
People in the 70s were a different breed.
They were. Humanity was different.
Whoa.
He stands up, but that's it. He drops.
I was rooting for him.
Yep, I was too when I was reading these reports. He stands to his feet, and then he collapses. Hearing the shot, his wife Maxine wakes up, but before she can even get completely out of the bed, Richard is already in the bedroom. He points the gun at her and demands to know where her jewelry is kept. As Richard robs her, like goes throughout the room and robs her, Maxine reaches for a shotgun kept under the bed. She points the gun at Richard and pulls the trigger, only to realize that the gun was not loaded.
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. I thought long and hard about the one in my bedside table after reading this. Because I'm a don't keep one in the chamber type of person. However, I've been debating that after this.
I am definitely a don't keep one in the chamber type of person, but that is terrifying.
Yep. He hears the click of the gun and becomes completely enraged. He turns around, shoots Maxine 3 times, and then beats her body.
How dare you try to shoot me when I just killed your husband?
Yep. And was probably going to kill you. Decides that just shooting her 3 times and beating her wasn't enough, and he pulls out a knife and attempts to cut her heart out. When this fails because he can't break through the ribs in the chest cavity, he cuts her eyes out.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. And then, we're still not done. He rapes her body before leaving the house.
I can't.
Yep. After leaving the Zazara home, Richard returns to his place of residence, which is none other. Look at me, Megan.
I'm looking at you.
Is none other than the Cecil Hotel. The entire stint of most of these murders, he is living inside the Cecil Hotel.
How did I not know he lived in the Cecil Hotel?
You legit didn't know this?
I didn't know he lived in the Cecil Hotel.
I thought I was going to over dramatize this and you were going to be like, yep, I knew.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this part. I'm going to go on a...
Yeah, let's like, we're going to take a detour on the bus.
Yep.
But we'll get back to the main road.
I'm going to detour the bus, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you because I texted you and Bella and my wife in the group chat, freaking out one day because thinking that I had solved a murder.
You thought it was a Cecil Hotel murder?
Elisa Lamb.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So she disappears. Everybody knows her story. If you don't, get out from under your rock. She basically, the hotel footage, like she is on camera running from something.
I'm going to have to do a whole Wonder segment on Eliza
Please have
Lamb.
me on when you do this.
I will now. Take note, Tyler. But, because that's one of like my most wanted to do Wonder segments. And yeah, highly recommend if you don't want to wait however many months it's going to be or weeks or whatever, go look up her tale because it is
that footage is
terrifying.
Yes.
I watched it and just chills and nausea and I just
Yep.
like
I
she felt like I was watching something.
You can see her like in the body language and everything, the fear that this woman has. So I have told you this before. Kayla and I fall asleep to Ghost Adventures every night for years. Like when we get to the end, we just restart it, start all the way back. They did a Cecil Hotel episode and they communicate with Elisa Lamb and they ask her like, who was following you? And in a spirit box session, she says the devil. So here's me. I legit for 2 minutes thought that I had solved it. I was like, nope, it wasn't the devil. Everything lines up. It was Richard Ramirez. He was chasing her through the hotel.
Way too modern.
Yeah, well, like I had Kayla sold on this. I had the receptionist at work sold on this. I thought I was going to sell you on this. And then Kayla busted my bubble and was like, did you check the dates? And he died after she did. So it could not have been Richard.
You mean before?
He died after she did.
So he was alive when she died.
Mm-hmm. Wait a minute.
I'm very confused.
Wait a minute.
If he was alive when she died, technically it could have been him. Technically.
Oh my God.
I think
I'm
he
just
died
sitting here.
before.
So she died She died. I may be getting my dates wrong. She either died in June and he died in February, or it was reversed.
All right. So Richard,
We're gonna figure this out live.
Yep. He died in June 7th, 2013. And Eliza Lamb was...
My whole premise was the ghost of Richard Ramirez was like haunting the fuck out of her.
She died February 19th and he died June 7th. So he was still alive.
So it could have been him.
Oh my God.
This guys is me and Megan's brains just erupting
Just
live.
yeah. Welcome to the Wonder segment, guys. That's why we call it Wonder.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, let's skirt the bus
Yep.
back onto the road.
Yep. Let me reroute. So yeah, this whole time he's staying at the Cecil Hotel. And so after the Zazara murder, he goes and retreats back to the hotel. And he stays in the hotel for pretty much, I don't know what else to call it other than a cooling off period. It was only 2 weeks. Living off the money that he had made from selling the Zazara's jewelry. While this was going on, the police are struggling to locate and identify him. Frank is convinced that the Zazara murder and the double murders that he had committed prior were not related at all, two completely separate people. But Frank's partner, Gil Gararilo? What the fuck? I just stroked out. Carrillo.
Carrillo. Carrillo?
Yep.
Carrillo.
Carrillo.
Yep. That's it.
He thinks otherwise. He's like, nope. Has to be the same guy. On the early morning of April 14th, Richard goes back out on the hunt on one of his little murdy missions and settles on the home belonging to a senior couple, William and Lillian Doi, D-O-I. He breaks into the home through an open bedroom window, sees Lillian asleep on the bed. He looks around the room and quickly realizes that Lillian is disabled because she has a wheelchair somewhere in the room. He leaves her alone. He spares her and makes his way through the house, assumingly looking for stuff to steal, and walks into a bedroom where her husband Will is sleeping. He looks around the room and discovers that Will has a gun on the bedside table, and he just, I guess, doesn't want to deal with it. And he walks up to Will and starts to load his revolver. It was not already loaded. He starts to load it, and the sound of this wakes Will up. He reaches for his own gun on the bedside table, but before he could do anything with it, Richard shoots William in the mouth. Jesus. He then leaves the room and returns to Lillian's bedroom and binds her in thumb cuffs and then proceeds to rape Lillian.
This little old lady. God, this guy's sick.
She was in her late 70s.
God.
Mm-hmm. And then burglarizes the house before eventually leaving. Fortunately, William is still alive. He did not die from the gunshot.
Wow. And
he has enough strength to call 911 before eventually passing away at the hospital. Lillian eventually suffered a stroke a few months after the attack. No, I lied. I'm wrong. My timeline is fucked up. She had suffered a stroke prior to the attack, which had left her unable to talk a whole lot. So she could not give a detailed description, but she was able to give enough that police were starting to think that this may have been.
This is a pattern.
Yep, this may be the same guy.
Ugh.
Police and detective are struggling to link the connection to the attacks, but they are starting to notice a theme. He keeps leaving, throughout all of this, he keeps leaving the same brand shoe print. And it's always just one. It's always just one singular shoe print. The only thing that is tripping the police up, it sounds like half of the police department was like, yeah, this is the same guy. And the other half was like, no, this can't be the same guy. Was the fact that Richard was not sticking to a demographic.
He didn't have a type.
Yep, he didn't have a type. He was choosing his victims at random. The dates for the next victim seemed to differ. I was getting conflicting dates. But after a similar 2-week cooling off period, Richard, secludes himself in the Cecil, and then comes back out about 2 weeks later and travels outside of LA to Montevideo, California, which was when I looked, like just outside LA. He doesn't really have a reason to be here. Like, there's nothing going on in Montevideo for him. But roughly at 11:30 p.m., he parks his car the stolen car, outside of the home of 2 elderly sisters, Mary Bell and Nettie Lang. Richard enters the home through the unlocked front door.
Lock your doors, people. Lock your doors.
Yep. He enters through the door and rummages through the home while the 2 sisters are napping. He finds nothing of value and becomes irate.
How dare you not keep anything of value?
And we already knows what we
What?
already knows. We already know what he does when he gets mad.
Yeah, Richard does not handle his temper well.
Nope. After finding a hammer in the kitchen, he attacks both women, starting with Mary Bell before moving on to Nettie. And he raped Nettie after he beat her with a hammer. With this attack, something happened in Richard's brain, and he decided to let everyone know that he was at the scene of the crime by leaving a pentagram that he drew in lipstick on the inside of Nettie's leg and on the wall behind her bed before leaving the home. I told you this gets dark real fast. Mary Beth survives for 6 weeks after the attack, but unfortunately succumbs to her injuries. Nettie survives, but is left permanently unable to speak.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm. After he attacked Mary Bell and Nettie, Megan's like, I need a minute. The day after he attacked Mary Bell and Nettie, Richard goes out again. There is no 2-week cooling off period. He goes out the next day.
Jesus fucking fuck.
Yep, on the hunt for another victim.
Oh no.
This time, he finds himself in Burbank. He enters the home of Carol Kyle, a divorced, younger, like 30-ish year old woman, and her 11-year-old son. He locks the boy in the closet while he repeatedly sexually assaults the mother before finally leaving. Like, he doesn't kill her, he doesn't rob her, he just does his thing and leaves. Carol is able to give a very detailed description to the police, but because the sketch artist didn't know how to draw, the representation was so drastically different than those previously given, so Richard was not linked to this attack.
How can you be a sketch artist and not draw?
This is where I started to become annoyed and started to think about your Memphis 3 episode.
Like, your entire job is
to draw yep.
human faces as
Yep.
they're described to you.
Mm-hmm. The other two survivors had described him with bulging eyeballs and janky teeth. And apparently what was drawn was, I guess, the exact opposite of that. In early June, Richard starts to develop he starts to devolve just so slightly and has 2 failed B&E attempts, which is breaking and entering. One being the home of an LA deputy sheriff.
Wow, he's getting brave.
Yep, he gets brave and he fucks it up so fast. Upon his attempt to enter the home of the deputy sheriff, the wife is alerted and she calls her husband, who is somewhere in the house. Realizing the homeowners are aware of his attempts to get in the house, Richard abandons the scene of the crime, leaving behind a singular footprint. One footprint outside one of the bedroom windows. Richard is furious that he was not able to finish what he intended to start, and started driving around LA when he was pulled over by LAPD. This is what should have been, or could have been, the 3rd attempt to just end it. Just end it here.
Jesus, they let him go, don't they?
Greatly.
God.
Richard is somehow unable to discard his firearm without alerting the police officer, and the officer approaches Richard in his car. As the officer is approaching, a description of Richard is being given by dispatch, and he can hear it over the LAPD's radio. He does his best to remain calm, and then the good old copper man looks at Richard while this description is being given.
No, you're not about to say what you're about to say.
I'm gonna say it.
No, you're not. No.
He looks at him and goes, "Hey, you're not that Mexican guy walking around killing people at night, are you?"
He kind of looks like you.
Yeah.
No, not me.
Which is exactly what happened. Nope. Not me, Mr. Sir. The officer walks back to his car, and when the officer's back is turned, Richard draws a pentagram on the dashboard of the car, exits the vehicle.
What the fuck?
And takes the fuck off and escapes.
Have a good day, officer.
Sir, I told you to strap in, Megan.
Oh my God.
I told you weren't ready.
I
can't at this point. To quote you, I can't even. After this run-in with the officer, Richard somehow convinces himself, maybe through all the cocaine, that the police have nothing on him and don't know who the fuck he is.
I mean, they did just let him fucking walk away.
Yeah.
I might also be like, all right, y'all fine. You just described me to a T, and then we're like, ha, you're not.
Yep, he's
person,
definitely not that Mexican man killing people at night.
Dear God.
On July 2nd, he drives to Arcadia out on another hunt. This is all, let me preface this is all within like 1985. I didn't include the year because it was all in the same year.
This is so much.
Yep. He drives to Arcadia and then stops outside the home of 75-year-old Mary Cannon. He takes the screen off of the front window and enters the home and goes straight to Mary Cannon, who I guess is out and about in her house, and beats her with a vase lamp before stabbing her in the neck with a kitchen knife. He ransacks the home and then drives back to LA, where he sells all of the stolen items. The police are alerted the next morning and finds a singular shoe print outside of the home.
Is he doing that shit on purpose?
I don't know. It didn't sound like it. But we'll get back to the shoe. We'll get to the shoe later.
Okay.
The shoe becomes important.
Okay.
The police start linking him. Like, they start putting shit together to through the shoe print and starts posting about him in the newspaper. Like, he's made it to front page at this point. Night Stalker is out and about with one shoe. He realizes that the police are looking for him, but this does not deter him. All it does is inflate his ego. Just 3 days after murdering Mary Cannon, he goes back out. We're done with the 2 weeks. We're done with the resty breaks.
Don't need that cooling period no more. I can do this back.
Yep.
Back.
He settles on the home of the Benet family. Not John Benet. Different Benet. He settles on the home of the Benet family and walks right through, yet again, another unlocked front door. People, lock your fucking doors.
Oh my God. Even if you live in a tiny ass small town, lock your fucking doors.
I keep my doors locked. Granted, it's to keep narcissists away, but that works, Tiro. I'm not trying to get murked in my sleep.
Yeah, no. I mean, I have the bedroom door locked.
Yep.
Like, you have to get through several locks to get to me first.
I used to do that too until a child entered my life, and now I keep the bedroom door unlocked.
Fair. I mean, a child might need you.
Yeah. Well, more so, child wanders. I need to hear. He plans to murder the family, but gets spooked after he looks out the window and sees a police car patrolling outside. He grabs a tire iron because there's just randomly a tire iron in these people's house.
You don't have a tire iron just sitting around your house?
I have one in my car, but nope. It's not one I keep in my house.
You don't have it just sitting there on the counter?
Nope.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I think it's in the pantry. You've come over to my house. You don't see me move the tire iron out of the way before I cook.
Oh, yeah. And it makes sense.
Yep. He grabs a tire iron and bludgeons the 16-year-old daughter, who, for all the children, I didn't name names because that just didn't feel right.
No, that's sad.
He bludgeons the 16-year-old daughter. While she's unconscious, he tries to strangle her with some kind of cord that she has in her bedroom. He is shocked to see sparks coming from the cord and is hella spooked at this point that the daughter is still breathing and believes that Jesus Christ has intervened to save the girl. And this scares him enough that he leaves the house and leaves behind, yet again,
one shoe print.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck?
The girl survives, but is left unrecognizable and requires 478 stitches to her head and face.
Was there any head and face left, or was it just a stitch?
I don't know. I would imagine after being beaten that badly with a tire iron, the only thing that I can imagine in my brain is ground beef.
That's all yeah, I can't. I don't know how she survived. That's
by the grace of God, apparently.
Wow, that is. Whoa.
He leaves the home on a high, wanting to kill again, and he drives around looking for a second victim that night.
Maybe Jesus won't come help this one. Jesus. Oh my God.
Genius Jesus only enters the chat once, and this was it. He settles himself on the home of Sophie Dickman. It is unclear where he entered the home at, but upon entry, he handcuffs Sophie and rapes her at gunpoint. He goes around the house and steals her jewelry. He drags her by her hair through the house and makes her, tell him where shit's kept. At one point, she looks at him and says, quote, "I swear to God, I have nothing left of value." That's it. Richard says, "Don't swear to God, swear to Satan."
Okay.
Yep.
Bitch, I swear to Satan, there's nothing left.
He makes her swear to Satan that nothing is left in the home, and he leaves. He leaves Sophie alive. Wow. LAPD is working with other like local surrounding police departments at this point and had discovered that there were only 1,354 pairs of this Avia brand shoe that had ever been made. This is it, people.
All right, that boot's coming.
Yep. I told you to remember the shoe. This is it.
Hard to forget it when it's been everywhere.
Yep. Of the 1,354 pairs of shoes made, only 6 of them were sold in LA.
Okay, you find those 6 people. One of them's your guy.
Even better. Of those 6, they were able, through the footprint, they were able to figure out that Richard was a size 11. Of the 6, only 1 size 11 shoe had been sold.
Aw, snap.
Mm-hmm. They had also, they took the car that he ditched way back when he was pulled over by that, stupid-ass LAPD officer. But, ironically, they kept the car outside. This is California. Shit gets real hot in California. And because the car had been kept outside, the fingerprints from outside the vehicle and most of the inside prints had been burned off.
I didn't know that is a thing that could happen.
Me neither. But apparently when it gets really hot, maybe I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say fingerprinting technology was not advanced as it is now. That's what I'm choosing to think.
Okay, I can let that slide.
Yep. But they were able to find a wallet in the car with a dental appointment card and 6 phone numbers. Now I digged, and I could not figure out who these 6 phone numbers belonged to. But I was able to figure out that the police could figure it out, and they had the homes of these 6 people. My nose keeps itching. I swear I'm not on cocaine. They had the homes of these 6 people under 24-hour surveillance. And they went to the dental office that card was addressed to. They walked in and they spoke to the dentist, and the dentist had said that Richard had visited that dental office under the name Richard Manna. The dentist was questioned further, and he told the police that Richard had some kind of very painful mouth condition and expected Richard to return for further work. The dentist office was also placed under 24-hour surveillance. Richard is now, at this point, very much aware that he is being sought after police. And then this is where he was like, maybe I just need to not kill for a little bit.
Oh, maybe.
Yep. But only 2 weeks.
Jesus, no.
Yep. And after 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks and about 8 days, he goes back out on the hunt. And before he does this, he goes out and purchases a machete. Machete. On July 20th, when he decides he's done with his cooling off period, he barges into the home of yet another elderly couple named Leela and Maxton Needling. He starts attacking them both with the machete, but realizes that it is not sharp enough and pulls out a revolver and shoots them in the head at point blank range. This unfortunately kills them. They die instantly. I had to clarify because we've got some superhumans.
Yeah.
He robs the home of all valuables before leaving and selling the jewelry the same day. Immediately after selling the jewelry, he gets into his car looking for another victim. He picks the home of the Kavana family and enters the house through an unlocked fucking door.
Fucking lock your doors. God.
He shoots the husband in the head, and after this, he repeatedly rapes and beats the wife while the small son, who is 8, is sleeping. Richard finds the son, wakes up, enters the room. Mommy, what's going on? Richard takes the son and ties him up. After doing this, Richard grabs the wife and drags her around the house looking for valuables. He makes her swear to Satan that nothing is left, and he is satisfied with this answer, and he leaves.
And so they both survive, her and her son.
Yes, her and her son both survive.
Thank God.
After this, the Night Stalker is everywhere in the media. He's front page newspaper. He's on CNN, in LA and immediate surrounding areas. Realizing that he's front page everywhere, but yet still believing that he is in favor with Satan, he ventures out again. This time, he goes to a new area of LA, uncharted territory for him. On August 6th, Richard breaks into the home of Chris and Virginia Peterson through an unlocked back door.
Lock your fucking doors.
While he creeps through the bedroom, he wakes Virginia up. Richard shoots her under the left eye. Chris wakes up hearing this. Husband Chris wakes up and he shoots Chris. Chris somehow manages to launch himself at Richard, and the two of them begin to grapple with each other for a while before Richard runs out of the house and escapes. Both Chris and Virginia survive the attack, Virginia being extra lucky.
What? She was hit right under the eye and survived?
The hospital report reads that the bullet had entered through the roof of her mouth, traveling down the back of her throat, and exited the back of her neck, missing every single major artery and organ in that area.
Wow. Damn lucky.
Okay, so I said Jesus entered the chat once. He enters the chat.
Oh, he is back?
Yep, he's back. She survived.
That divine
intervention right there.
Yep.
He immediately after this attack, detectives make the first public statement to the press, calling Richard a coward. This seemed like more than likely an attempt to get Richard to reveal himself, to piss him off, basically. And that he did, but not in the way he wanted. Or that they wanted. Hearing the press release calling him a coward, Richard loses it, becomes enraged, and goes out and buys an Uzi. And for those of you that don't know what an Uzi is, it's a pocket machine gun.
That's what the gangsters used in all the like all movies. And has, like,
it shoots 30-something rounds a minute. 2 days after the attack on the Petersons. What?
I just am...
You're just shocked and...
I am just...
Yep.
I can't. There are no words. I can't.
2 days after the attack on the Petersons, Richard goes back out on the hunt and chooses the Abowah, Abowwath, the Abowah family. Richard opens the sliding glass door, the back sliding glass door, and enters the home. Richard, surveying the house, exits to reposition his car in the driveway to be sure he can get away. Re-enters the home and shoots the husband, killing him instantly, and assaults the wife. During this attack on the wife, their son wakes up and enters the room. Richard ties this little boy up and leaves him in a closet and drags the wife around the house, robs her, same old shtick, makes her swear to Satan, and leaves the house. The police, at this point, publicly offer a reward for any information leading to Richard's arrest of $80,000. Knowing that people are now going to be eyeballing and looking for him harder because he now has a price tag, he checks out of the Cecil Hotel and leaves the LA area. He lands in San Francisco. He doesn't go far.
No, that's still... California's huge, but it's still the same state.
Yep. He doesn't go far. He checks into the Bristol Hotel, and then within hours of checking into the hotel room, Richard leaves to hunt for his next victim.
Is this still 1985?
This is still 1985.
Bruh.
Yep. Peter and Barbara Pan are his next victims.
Peter Pan?
Peter Pan, not Peter Pan.
Oh, no.
It is unclear in this case how exactly he enters the home. I hope to fucking God they locked their doors, because at this point, the Night Stalker is on TV. But after gaining entry into the home, he shoots Peter, killing him, and then proceeds to beat and sexually assault Barbara before finally shooting her in the head as well. Before Richard leaves the house, he draws a pentagram on the wall and writes, "Jack the Knife," which I guess is an homage to Jack the Ripper. The bodies of Peter and Barbara are discovered the next day by their son, and the local police department investigate the murder and very quickly link the murder to the Night Stalker. And this pisses the LAPD off.
Oh, I'm sure.
Hearing that the police in San Francisco have immediately linked him, it spooks Richard, and he returns back to LA. On August 24th, still 1985, Richard goes out. He goes out and about and has 2 failed attacks on 2 different families. On the 27th of August, the LAPD get a tip from the daughter of Jesse Perez. I almost said that her name was Jessie. They get a tip from a man's daughter named Jesse Perez. What the fuck?
The man is named Jesse.
The man is named Jesse.
Okay.
LAPD paid Jesse a visit, and after being promised protection and the $80,000 reward money, Jesse later... Those people we were talking about earlier, they're blowing my phone up. He later reveals that he is the man that Richard was selling the stolen goods to. Richard tells the police that he knew Richard as Rick and knew that Rick was from El Paso.
Damn, he couldn't even change his
Nope.
Didn't even try to fake his identity.
He didn't even try. There was no attempt. He also tells police about how Rick had been previously arrested for stealing a car. Hearing that good old Ricky Bobby had been arrested for stealing a car, there had to be a record, right? So the LAPD are able to go in and identify him. They identify Rick as Richard Ramirez. The Night Stalker has a name. The LAPD released the most recent mugshot to the press of his car theft and make a press conference stealing the identity of the Night Stalker, saying, "We know who you are, and soon so will the rest of California." Richard becomes aware of his face plastered all over the news and manages to board a bus on August 30th, 1985, and rides to Tucson, Arizona to meet one of his brothers. Arriving at the bus station in Tucson, Richard steps off the bus to realize that his brother is not there. He's quickly spooked back onto the bus by undercover LA police officers and gets back on a bus and rides back to LA. Richard steps off the bus to see that the bus station is teeming with police officers looking for him. He somehow manages to escape the eye of the police and enters a restaurant looking to buy something to eat. It's here Richard realizes that the people in the restaurant are looking him up and fucking down. People know who he is at this point. He looks over and sees a newspaper stand with his face front and center.
Right there.
Right there. He also sees the restaurant owner on the phone staring at him. The restaurant owner was on the phone with police, letting them know that Richard was inside the restaurant. Richard takes off out of the restaurant when he sees the homeowner on the phone with police. Richard runs onto a bus and then is spotted again. He runs off the bus and attempts to carjack a woman but fails. Fleeing the scene, Richard is now frantically running through the streets. Police sirens are wailing because they are out on red alert looking for him. Richard makes a second attempt to carjack a woman and is tackled by her wife. Let's fucking go, lesbians.
Wow.
Let's fucking go.
In 1985?
Mm-hmm.
Was that legal?
No, but we existed.
What
the fuck, Megan?
That's not what I meant.
I know that's not what you meant, but I had
all.
to take my opportunity. You opened a door and I walked all the fucking way through it.
You like kicked the door in the rest of the way. Like,
No, it was not legal.
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean like that. I love you.
I love you too. I know no offense needed. Megan means no offense.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Hearing the scuffle outside, one of the couple's neighbors comes outside and with a tire, like a metal rod tire iron type thing, and strikes Richard over the back of the head with the metal bar. Police cascade onto the scene and finally arrest the Night Stalker.
Mother heck, that was...
The lesbians got him.
Yeah, you go lesbians. Finally, someone did something right.
So when y'all hate on us, we got the Night Stalker. Upon arrest, Richard immediately starts rambling about Satan and begging for a gun to shoot himself. But once he realizes the police were writing down everything he's saying, he stops talking. During the investigation, Richard speaks freely about his life in his younger years, but when questions about the murder, he stops. Once Richard's family gets news of Richard's arrest and the gruesome crimes that he has committed, the family demands that this is a case of misunderstanding. Not their Richie. Couldn't have been him. They're shocked. They're stunned.
There are so many witnesses, lady.
Yep. Not their Richie Poo. And his sister Ruth comes in and attempts to come to his rescue. On September 3rd, Richard makes his first court appearance. The courthouse is packed. It's packed floor to ceiling with locals trying to get a glimpse of the Night Stalker. And strangely, a large amount of women fascinated with him.
We do like our serial killers.
We do. We sure do. I've got his face on a blanket, guys. Only 8 charges were read at this court hearing and no bail was asked for, but Richard was warned that there may be more charges to come. After his first court appearance that day, Richard receives mountains of letters from female admirers convinced that he was innocent and professing their love for him. I guess this is just something that we women do. We just fawn over serial killers because they did the same thing with Ted Bundy.
And there's people and Son of Sam and like everyone.
Yep.
I don't know a single serial killer that hasn't
Got a
gotten
fan base.
letters that are like, "Oh, marry me."
Yep. Take me now.
Jesus, these women. I would love to have a psychologist like study them and see what's up there.
Yep. This blows up Richard's ego even more than it was already elevated.
Oh, I'm sure.
And Richard tells his family that he is going to plead guilty for the crimes that he had committed against his family's wishes to plead not guilty. Richard goes through 2 sets of lawyers before settling on Arterio and Daniel Hernandez, who are like walked out of law school and entered this case. Like they know not what the fuck they're doing. And continuously delay the trial date, putting off jury selection until July 1988, guys, 3 years after his initial arrest.
What in the fuck?
Mm-hmm. Jury selection takes around 6 months to complete. During this time, Richard Ramirez's fan base grows massively. He gets hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of women visiting him in jail, writing him scandalous letters. Like the police station, the jail that he was at, like actually like had to put a stop on visitors that he could have because he was getting so many. Let's see. I went down too far. Where did I go? I lost my place. Oh, yes. He makes a second court appearance October 24th and of that same year. While in the courtroom, Richard shocks the court. And this is where he does the infamous scene where he flashes his pentagram tattoo on the palm of his hand and yells, "Hail Satan," to the gallery. And he pleads not guilty to all 58 charges. After this, the two lawyers, the Hernandezes, continually, push things off some more. I backtracked. That happened before jury selection 3 years later. So that happened. We pushed jury 3 years later. And this is where, his fan base grows. And this is where I'm going to pause and say that when I told my stepdad that I was doing this Wonder segment, as soon as I said who I was doing, he goes, "That's the guy that married one of his fans." And I told him, "I don't know, but you're going to have to listen to the podcast to find out." So this is where we figure out if my parents are listening. Jan, this one's for you.
Hi, Jan.
Yep. One of Jan's fans, a journalist named Doreen Lowy, Loiy, who wrote him daily and visited him essentially daily, caught Richard's eye. She very publicly, foreshamed people that were writing negative articles against him. Like, she would go toe-to-toe with people. She even kept money on his commissary books. He catches her eye. She goes to visit him one day, and she dresses up for their first date.
No.
Mm-hmm. The two of them would eventually marry. And she shows up to every following court appearance sitting behind him.
What the fuck?
On that following Valentine's Day, in February 1989, Richard receives truckloads of cards, Valentine's Day cards from fans, including one from a member of the jury, Cynthia Halden.
Oh, no.
She's on the pre-jury selection. And Miss Cynthia Halden was eventually sworn in as jury number 1 because that's fucking legal.
No, fire her ass.
Yep.
Get a mistrial.
Mm-hmm. She serves on the jury as juror number 1.
No.
Several court appearances shortly after.
No.
The Hernandezes realize that they absolutely don't know what the fuck they're doing with this case and are fumbling over themselves hand over foot. And per the judge, the Hernandez lawyers are removed from the case and a man named Ray Clark takes over. On July 26th, 1989, the jury starts to deliberate. But on August 14th, one of the jurors named Phyllis Singlerty did not show up for deliberation. This kept the jury from continuing any further, and it was quickly revealed later that day that Phyllis had been murdered. Yep.
Bruh.
This scared the hell out of the jury because they thought somehow Richard had orchestrated this murder from prison. Megan, they weren't completely wrong.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
It was revealed by Phyllis's boyfriend, James C. Milton, that he had shot Phyllis after the two had gotten in a fight over whether or not Richard was guilty.
Whoa.
In a statement he made to police, Phyllis had felt sorry for Richard and believed him innocent, and apparently Mr. Milton highly disagreed.
That is a level of disagreement that I'm a little concerned with.
Yep. Finally, at 10:50 a.m. on September 20th, 1989, 4 years after Richard's arrest, the jury reached their verdict. It was what, 3 months? 2 months. 2 months of deliberation. Yes. No, 3 months. 3 months of deliberation. They reached their verdict. The courtroom was packed with everyone, his wife, fans, the public, everybody is in that courtroom that day, except for the Night Stalker, who refused to attend.
I didn't know you could refuse to attend.
I didn't know you could either. The jury stood and found Richard Ramirez guilty of all counts. 13 counts of murder, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults. It did not say rape, so I didn't include it. The charges were listed as sexual assaults, 14 burglaries. Sentencing took place on November 7th, 1989, where Richard told his attorney that dying did not scare him. And at this sentencing, Richard made the statement to the courtroom, quote, "You do not understand me. You are not expected to. You are not capable. I am beyond your experience. I am beyond good and evil. I will be avenged. Lucifer grows within us all."
No. Nah, son. Nah.
Yep. Richard was given, I didn't know this one either. Richard was given 19 death sentences. I didn't realize that was possible. I just thought you got one and done.
You're gonna get killed and then reincarnate and get killed again and then reincarnate.
19 times, I guess, and was sentenced to die via electric chair. Unfortunately, Richard did not make it to the electric chair and died of lymphoma in Marion General Hospital in Green Bay, California on June 7th, 2013.
So he sat on death row for over a decade.
Yep. And died of lymphoma and hepatitis C. Which is why I said, unfortunately, we did not make it to the electric chair.
Wow. Well, Jamie, that was amazing.
I hoped it was as good as I hyped it up to be.
It was as good as you hyped it up to be, for sure. It has my brain like...
Mission complete. Guys, like I was texting Megan like through 2 weeks of this going like, I'm scared. Like I kept psyching myself out because I was thinking that I was putting too much information in, and Megan, like I could hear Megan in the phone like, give me everything.
It was brilliant.
So I did.
Amazing. Amazing. Let's move on to this.
Trivia with Tyler.
This trivia is from Tyler. Comes directly from Tyler. So
Ew.
yeah, just
Hi, Tyler.
yeah, say that. Hi. That's not how he sounds at all.
I was gonna start this out because I thought you were gonna like do your regular introduction, and I was gonna say I'm a not Tyler, which was gonna be a cryptid reference for you because of the not deer. I'm a not Tyler.
Oh man, I missed a great opportunity. Solitaire refers to any tabletop game that you can play by yourself, not just the famous card game that was included on Microsoft Windows.
What?
The card game called Solitaire on Windows is actually called Klondike.
What the fuck?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Now you know.
Final thoughts.
Okay, so I saw you do the water thing way earlier, and it scared me because I thought we were running out of time.
Oh, no, I was
So I
just running
speed
out.
read.
I was running out of liquid. I have gotten to sip on this way more than you have because you have been reading a lot. It's definitely been Christmassy all day.
All day. Yeah, I just did 1 drop of water, and it didn't really change a whole lot.
I'm going to try to do 2 or 3-ish.
All right, I did too. Let me go in for another one.
Yeah.
I drank like all my water.
I like it both with water and without.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's a weird face you made.
I got a little bit more tingly.
Okay.
It's definitely different, but I don't know how to describe it. Okay. Follow me here.
Mm-hmm.
It went from Christmas to Thanksgiving. I am the worst person to have on a alcohol-based podcast. I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. So it went from Christmas to Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So Thanksgiving isn't as festive?
Cranberry. I got cranberry.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I could see that because after adding water, I got a really bitter flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be cranberry. That actually makes a lot of sense.
See, I am smart. I'm just slow to get there.
Okay. I'll take that. Yeah, that is cranberry. That's kind of brilliant. Good job.
I'm smart.
You did it.
Woo.
So yeah, after I added water, the flavor got more bitter to it. The cinnamon burn is definitely still there. But it added that bitter cranberry flavor.
Yep. This is drastically different from that other one, the one that I brought, where it like just didn't change.
Anyone who listens to the podcast and doesn't drink whiskey, I'm sure probably thinks me and Tyler make up so much of what we smell and taste. But every whiskey
I don't
different.
But then again, I grew up in my grandfather's home where he was this, but with wine. So I'm used to hearing alcohol described in funky ways.
Okay.
So it makes sense.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, this was pretty good. I enjoyed it with water, enjoyed it without water. It's above average for me. Do you have a number you think, Jamie?
Well, let's see. I gave that Kentucky bourbon a 5. So this is now, other than Bullet, this is the 3rd bourbon that I've ever had. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
7 or 7.5?
7.5. I'll be generous.
Okay. You and I are on like the same wavelength. I was going a 7 as well. Mm-hmm. So above average, not a 10, but one I would definitely come back to. A big issue I have with this particular whiskey is the price point. You're looking at getting a 5th for around $90 to $100.
Why?
So yeah, it's small batch, doesn't run very often. And there's a butterfly on the bottle.
Oh, so pretty.
There's a butterfly.
So pretty.
But it's not $100 pretty.
Nope.
But it's 7 and 7.5 pretty. That's a good rating. I like that. Well, Jamie, your first official Wonder segment, and you did awesome.
I don't know if you could see me like holding my phone, like fucking shaking. I convinced myself I was going to fuck this up.
You did not at all. In fact, I think you did better reading than like Tyler and I have done combined in 90 episodes. So,
Megan.
Have you heard my mush mouth?
Megan, you're going to make me blush. Stop it. Stop it. Kayla's going to get you.
I don't mean anything by it.
I
Kayla.
know you don't.
Hurt me.
I know you don't.
Don't hurt me.
Kayla's just going to laugh and encourage it. What the fuck are you talking about?
Man. Wow. I want to say that was a fun Wonder segment, but
it sounds
mean.
Bad
like, that
to
sounds
say,
bad.
given the topic.
It was, I can't say wonderful. I was like, oh, nope, that one doesn't work.
So the psychology with serial killers, I'm absolutely enthralled with it.
Fascinating.
My father, yep, if you're listening, I'm going to talk the fuck about you. my father is a textbook, like, certified sociopath.
Wow.
And I have never met him. I don't care to, given everything that I have been told by my mother and my family. His one letter that he wrote to me, he sent it to his mother's house, my grandmother, not the ones I lived with, was about the importance of dental hygiene. So
Is he a dentist?
No.
Okay.
He's a convicted felon. He was the guy in Breaking Bad before Breaking Bad was a TV show.
Oh, he made meth.
Yep, he made meth, sold it to high schoolers. He is a sociopath, and I've always been fascinated with learning that brain. And so that's where I get the fascination with serial killers. And that's why, like, I fall asleep to Ghost Adventures and can, like, I light up when people are just like, hey, what you know about this freaky-minded fuck? And I'm like, let me tell you.
Well, it was awesome. I don't know why I'm interested in it. I'm sure some sort of trauma from my past, but
the best day of my high school experience was Serial Killer Day, when the teacher let us come in the room and set bowls of cereal in front of us while we learned about serial killers.
that sounds amazing. Why didn't my high school do that? That's
know.
not fair. That's not fair. Damn it. Public school. All right. Well, we are running out of time, guys. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed listening to Jamie's First Ever Wonder segment. And I hope you guys tune in next week and continue to listen. Thank you to all of our sponsors, our donators, our likers, our reviewers. Everything you do, every little bit helps.
The fuck out of this episode and interact with it on all the ways you can. So hopefully they'll bring me back.
Yes, blow it up. Let's get a lot out of this one, guys.
Yep.
All right. On that note, I think it is time to say, don't drink and drive.
Yep.
Cheers.